Go for it, Kelly.
My friends let their kids drink alcohol in a quote-unquote controlled setting. What are your thoughts on this?
Not smart. Not wise. And by friends, you mean you. I know that you do this.
No.
I'm just kidding. Okay, let me think through this out loud. Number one, like I experienced this as a kid. So not as a kid, but as a late teenager and on into college. So I get this. I get it. I've been there. A couple of things. Let's do the pragmatic stuff first. When it comes to teenagers, there's no such thing as a controlled setting as much as you think there is. There just is not. Teenagers are brilliant at navigating boundaries. They're incredible at it. And so the idea that you're going to create some kind of bubble that they can do dumb stuff in or break the law in, make wise choices in is nonsense. It's just dumb. You're wrong. You're incorrect. So number two, man, when I was a kid, there was no cameras anywhere, ever. There was no video. There just wasn't. The liability a parent takes on nowadays is madness. I can't fathom an adult doing that in this day and age with so many cameras, so many recordings, so much, all of it, right? In such a increasingly litigious society. One thing goes wrong. One kid gets sick. One kid gets in a wreck. One kid starts feeling depressed. One kid, fill in the blank, man, sends crazy text or sexts somebody or asks for it and receives it. And I don't know why anyone would put themselves in that position. And let's take the broader view with kids. When I look at the data, this is just the data, right? I like a beer as much as the next guy. I like a great bourbon and whiskey just as much as the next guy. I'm just looking at the science part. Alcohol is destroying people from the inside out. It's destroying them at the micro level, where 1 or 2 drinks a night is slowly eroding sleep, which is slowly eroding mental health, which is slowly eroding physical health, which is slowly eroding work performance and relationship performance, and tracks all the way to dementia and beyond. And alcohol on the macro level, on the deaths of despair, when we step back and look at alcohol and then its sister, opioids, why in the world would you lean over to a child, and say, I want to introduce you to something that the data tells me might be a part of killing you in the future? Why would you do that? I'm not going to do that. Parents are in desperate need. Children are in desperate need of parents who aren't acting like their friends. Children are in desperate need of adults acting like adults and being parents and saying, no, as a society, we've all voted. You got to be 21. Sorry, got to be 21. And that's not even like the Motion Picture Association of America, like a group of people in some shadowy room deciding what the rating of a movie is. As an adult, cool, you get to figure that out. But we all voted as a society. I just want to lean on that. So that's my thoughts on that, Kelly. What do you think?
I remember having a couple of friends of mine when I was in high school that would let us do that. And but now as a parent, no way. No chance. Like you said, every camera, every phone. But I've also seen the effects of alcohol on people in my life. And there's no chance that I would introduce my child to that.
Yeah.
Or somebody else's child especially without their knowledge. Because I remember growing up and we had a particular friend whose parents would let us drink over there. They never calling our parents. They never called and said, is this okay?
No.
But they were the cool mom.
Right.
And now I have no desire to be the cool mom. No, thank you.
No, we need a generation of parents who don't want to be the cool parent.
Yeah. We'll be friends. My son has said that we're not friends. No, we're not. We'll be friends later.
You're 25.
Yeah.
They won't be friends.
So I can't imagine, introducing that.
And I feel like I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth now when I'm talking about downstream effects of alcohol. I would take my kid out and buy them their supposed first drink when they're 21. I do that, right? It's within I wouldn't have a problem with that. But to take a child in and say, hey, I don't know, it just feels stupid.
And it's illegal,
Yeah. Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
On huge levels. Because like you said, you just don't know what they're going to go out and do. And you're right that saying controlled setting with a teenager is
No
just
such
such
thing,
an
dude.
idiotic
I think back
phrase.
to the quote unquote controlled settings we had.
Yeah.
They were not
And that was
controlled.
before we had the world in our hands in a box where we
Oh,
could take a
dude.
picture and tell somebody. And then all of a sudden, it's before you know it, it's all around school. It's
Right.
just no way.
It's just stupid. Yep. Good for you.
All right. Who is the person besides your parents that you look up to or seek advice from?
Gosh. I would categorize that in experts and mentors and friends. And so, experts on, like, I remember when COVID came out, I didn't know anything about viruses. I was super privileged. I had friends who worked in that world that were research biologists who studied stuff. So when it came to like, should I get the vaccine or not? I asked them because they knew I didn't. When it comes to like landscaping things, you know what I'm good at when it comes to landscaping? Mowing. That's it. And dude, I can work an edger, a weed eater. Like I'm incredible. But I call Rachel Freitas to come over and like look at my yard, and she's a friend and she's also like a renowned expert in this. So I ask experts for their ideas on things. I asked Dave Ramsey for personal money tips, right? And I know millions of people in America would love that. And haha. But I mean, I just ask him for it. I asked Kelly for like tattoo aftercare information because she's an expert. She's got 1,000. And then I got friends that I just love and have done life with that I trust and they trust me. And so when I've got a hard decision to make or a conversation or making sure I'm seeing something right, I love asking them for that kind of stuff. And then mentors, men and women who have been with me for a long, long time and that I've looked up to for a long time that I reach out to for help and support, like Darby Dickerson or like John Noel Thompson or like Randall DeMint. I mean, I could just go on and on and on, but men and women who have really been important to me in my life trajectory. So, yeah, I guess experts, mentors, and friends. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that's good.
Notice the internets, not the internets.
No, never.
The only time it's good to go to the internets is if you're looking for stuff that I'm saying. Then it's great. You should all run to the internets and hit subscribe. All right, go for it.
All right. Best way to stay connected to our teens.
The research would say be very firm, hold kids strongly accountable, and be very kind. It's the combination of both of those things. And there's a 4 quadrants, but ultimately it's be a parent and don't be an ass. Both of those things together. We often like, I've got to hold them accountable. I'm going to wear them out. What an idiot. Why would you do that? And I want to be cool. I want to be kind. So I'm not going to hold them accountable. Well, that's dumb too. You can do both. You can, with love in your heart, say, hey, we're not going to do that. I, as your parent, can't allow that. I, as your parent, I've got to make the call to this teacher, to this whatever. I've got to call this mechanic who I think's ripping you off. I know, I'm your parent. So it's firm and accountable and kind. The thing that I've been wrestling with lately, that I think all parents could really, really work on, and I put myself number 1 at this top of this list. What if we focused on being likable with our kids? If we focused on, not, again, I think I've talked about this a little bit, but not turning every conversation into a teaching moment and not turning every good thing or failure thing into a moment where I can imprint on. My oldest son, he's almost 13. He lost a tooth. And we were laughing. He came in last night, lost a tooth. We were laughing like most kids lose that tooth when they're 8. And he was laughing. We were carrying on. And I pulled my shirt up over my head so you couldn't see my face. And I grabbed a quarter out of like my coin jar and I flapped my wings in there and I turned the lights on. He was half asleep. He's like, what are you doing? And I was like, it's the tooth fairy and inflation's bad. And I flicked a quarter on his bed and he started dying laughing. And I just left. I just left. And that's the kind of story he's going to tell at his deathbed. That my dad was funny and my dad was silly and my dad made jokes. Not that my dad told me a great life lesson after the soccer game. He's not going to remember any of that crap. He's going to remember I was annoying after sporting events. But I really have been focusing lately on being likable. And that doesn't mean a doormat. That just means that I am enjoyable to be around. And I'm finding that that's making me an infinitely more effective parent and really coworker and human being. But that's a whole other conversation.
I want to add into that, though. So the book I was telling you about the raising boys, and I find this is from both my teens. When you want to connect with your teen, you have to go where they are. My son is not going to go shopping with me, and he's not going to sit down and watch Great British Bake Off. He might, but not willingly. I have to do what he wants to do.
Right.
And so last night, for the last few nights, he's watching this Formula One series on Netflix.
I heard it's fantastic.
Actually, it's really good.
Yeah, I heard
but
it's great.
I'm watching a Formula One series. And over, not too long ago, we watched Violent Night. The oh God, it was actually great. David Harbour. It's a Christmas, but it's super violent.
Violent Night?
Yeah, it's great.
Did you put that in your Parent of the Year application?
I did. But I've got to watch what he wants to watch, or my husband, they go do things that my son wants to do because he's not going to do what we want to do and be like, this is great. Thanks for, making me watch Pride and Prejudice, Mom. That's not going to work. But if I can do what he wants to do, it gains trust. And I'm not making fun of it.
Yes, you're participating. Yeah. I think I like that, especially around entertainment things and enjoyment things. I also think it's important for my kid to come with me when we're going to help somebody's house, right? And do servicey things,
right?
And so,
but like I said, that's more entertainment type things.
Yeah, I think that's right. If you're always like, no, kids, we're watching this because my house, my TV. Well, you're an idiot and you're not likable. Nobody wants to be around that guy, right? And you're not that guy with your friends, all right? And if you are, you don't have any friends because you're an ass. Like, nobody wants to be around you.
And it's important that I know what makes my kid laugh.
Yes.
And that I know what my kid's into, first of all.
Yes.
Because then I know who his friends are. And, my husband every once in a while will grab a remote and play video games with him when he's playing online so that we're hearing the people he's talking to. But then we know about his life. And it's the same with my daughter. It's different a little bit because of her special needs. But if I want to do what she is into, or I can sit and make her watch, Stranger Things, which is going to terrify her.
Right.
So
I've seen a profound transition in my daughter when I just walk into her room quietly and I don't flick the lights on and off and start throwing her stuffed animals around like, let's fight the animal. If I just go lay on the floor and just grab my own coloring book and get right next to her and color, and we won't say anything for 5 or 10 minutes. And eventually she'll say, hey, today at school, and she'll just launch in, right? And that's right what you're saying. And that goes back to me just being likable, and it's just getting in their world, man.
Yeah. My daughter loves to do jigsaw puzzles. And so this weekend I just put one out and she just came over, and we don't get a lot of peaceful enjoyment time with her because that's just not her world. But for an hour and a half, we just sat and did this puzzle together because I know that that's something she'll want to join in, and I can kind of, it's something that she enjoys, so I will come do that.
I love it.
Yeah, so it's just being in their world because then you get to know who they are.
I love it. It's great.
All right, last question.
Let's do it.
Piece of advice that you love to give but find the hardest to follow.
Eating nutritious stuff and sleep. Those are the two that, man, I struggle big time. And I found my sleep getting increasingly worse. I'm going to have to spend some direct time on it. I met with my doctor on it a couple months ago, and he gave me some pretty harsh advice that I haven't put into practice yet. But he basically told me, you got to change your life or you're not going to be with us much longer. So I'm going to have to do that eventually. But
yeah, please do. I need a job.
There's some other idiot that will be glad to spout their opinions, Kelly. So sleep and diet, I just eat so much junk food. The other one is parenting, showing up. I often say kids, they don't have permission to hurt my feelings. And when I find when I'm tired or when I'm having a season of self doubt or I'm just not feeling good about myself, man, my daughter can flat out crush me. Um, my son can crush me. My wife can say something that crushes me. And it's easy to sit here and say, well, you just got to keep showing up. Just got to keep showing up. Man, sometimes I just want to go get a tent and sleep in the backyard for a few nights. And so I think that's the other hard one is just to keep showing up. I do a better job of showing up than I do not eating gummy candies, but we'll see. What about you?
I feel like I'm constantly telling my kids, especially, probably other people, that, God's going to handle this. He's going to take it. And then, boy, I like to control things. Like, right now we're dealing with the house stuff, and I am trying to control every little piece of that. And my husband keeps, spitting my words back at me, but I'm a control freak, and I love.
Tell me more, Kelly.
I know this
way.
is shocking, and I love
No.
control. But boy, I can tell other people how you just need to let that go and give that to God, and then I'm over here holding.
And then
things.
you're like, I am God. I am.